Hello, my friends. Welcome to another episode of Deep True Crime. I'm Manny Rodriguez. In today's episode, we are discussing the missing child. I said that right. A child, another missing child. Madalina Cojocari is a missing 11-year-old girl. And the strange thing around this is that the mother of the missing North Carolina girl, she says that she did not report her disappearance for more than 20 days, almost 3 weeks, because she was scared of her husband's reaction. But here's the flip side. The husband was saying that he knew nothing and that she must have done something. So they're almost blaming each other. Let's go ahead and dive into what we know at this time. After so many people telling her to report this child missing, she begrudgingly reports her own child missing. On Thursday, December 15th, 2022, at approximately in the early mornings at about 1:12 p.m., should I say, afternoon, officers responded to Bailey Middle School located at 11900 Bailey Road in Cornelius. The complainant, Diana Cojocari, who resides at 18413 Victoria Bay Drive in Cornelius, she reported her juvenile child, her daughter, missing. Madalina Cojocari has been missing since approximately 12 o'clock on Tuesday, November 22nd, 2023. Now, on Monday, a few days before that, on December 12th at approximately 2 p.m., Bailey Middle School Resource Officer Jay Nobles attempted a home visit with 6th grade school counselor Mrs. D. Lampkin in reference to Madalina Cojocari. Mrs. Lampkin, she stated that in reference to Madalina, she said that she has not been to school since Monday, November 21st on 2022. So they were looking for her and there was no answer at the door, and a truancy package was left by Mrs. Lampkin. But it doesn't end there. On Wednesday, December 14th, Mrs. Lampkin advised Madalina Cojocari's mom, Diana Cojocari, to call her requesting a meeting in reference to Madalina. So she calls her requesting a meeting. Mrs. Lampkin advised Diana that she stated she would bring Madalina into school on Thursday and meet with Mrs. Lampkin in reference to the truancy package. And so on Thursday, December 15, 2022, Diana Cojocari, she arrives at school without Madalina and met with Mrs. Lampkin. Now, Mrs. Lampkin, she requested Officer Nobles to step into the meeting. When Officer Nobles arrived, Mrs. Lampkin and Diana advises that Madalina has been missing since Wednesday, November 23rd at approximately 2200 hours. Now, that is much later in the day because she was seen on the bus as well. And so Officer Nobles, he speaks with Diana Cojocari, who advises that she last saw Madalina on Tuesday, November 22nd, 2022 at around noon. And she stated that Madalina went in her room that night. I said noon, but that's actually much later at night. No, that's during the day. She stated that Madalina went into her room that night to go to bed. Diana stated that her and her husband, Christopher Palmiter, argued that night, and the next morning he drove to his family's house in Michigan to recover some items. Diana Cojocari, she stated that she went back to check on Madalina around 11:30 on the 24th and noticed that Madalina was not in her room. And so Diana Cojocari, she stated she waited until Saturday, November 26th at 7 p.m. when Christopher Palmiter returned home before asking her, hey, where's Madalina? And then Christopher stated he did not know anything and asked the same question to her. Hey, where's Madalina? And Mr. Noble, he asked Diana why she did not report Madalina missing until now. Diana stated that she was worried it might start a conflict between her and her husband, Christopher. Officer Nobles requested that she contact Christopher and have him come to the school. Officer Nobles then contacted Detective Gina Patterson and Detective Brad Nichols for assistance. And so Detective Gina Patterson, she questioned Miss Diana Cojocari regarding her missing daughter. She explained that she believed her husband put her family in danger, but did not know what happened to Madalina. She stated that she contacted her family in Moldova, who advised her to contact the police, and yet she still hesitated to call. Diana stated Madalina did not have a phone. Madalina's backpack and some clothes were missing from the residence. Diana stated that Madalina did not have any friends she would stay with, and so she wasn't with any friends, and they have no family around due to Diana being from Moldova, which is an Eastern European part of the country. Now, Detective Nichols and Miss Patterson, Detective Patterson, they went to the home at 18413 Victoria Bay Drive in Cornelius to search Madalina's room. Miss Cojocari and Mr. Palmiter, they were both adamant that they did not know where Madalina was. They have no clue where she could be at. While in the residence, Detective Patterson noticed an area that was blocked off with plywood off the kitchen. Detective Nichols, he asked about the area, and Mr. Palmiter, he stated that they had planned to make a separate apartment. But by all records, no permits were pulled at all with the city that showed that could possibly be true. So it does not look like that was at all true. And so that looks to be a lie. But then we find out that the mom actually changes her story. Officer Nobles speaks to Diana Cojocari, who advised that she last saw Madalina on Wednesday, November 23rd at 2200 hours, which is 10 p.m. that night. And so she changes her story a little when she stated that Madalina went into her room that night, and the next morning, the husband drives to Michigan to the family's home. I mean, we're talking about lots of hours to just go and pick up some stuff in Michigan, where he is known to be from Grand Ledge, Michigan, something like that. And so that is so far not adding up, because again, when Christopher returns home, he's asking if, the wife is asking him, do you know where Madalina's at? Christopher stated he did not, and then asked her the same question. Do you know where Madalina's at? Right? And so, but no one reported this little girl missing. And so on Thursday, December 15th, 2022, Chris Palmiter stated that on November 23rd, he left his residence to make a trip to Michigan to pick up some items. He advised that he did not see Madalina the day he left, and he believed that the last time he saw her was a week before his trip. And he stated that he returned to his residence on November 26th, and he asked his wife Diana where Madalina was. Right? Of course, that's a common question. Where's your daughter? Where's my stepdaughter? And Diana said that she did not know. Chris told Diana that he did not know where Madalina was either. Chris stated that he asked Diana if she had hidden Madalina, and Diana asked Chris if he had hidden Madalina, and they both said no. But Chris also did not report her missing to the police at the time. And Chris stated that he spoke with Diana several times about Madalina's whereabouts over the next 3 weeks, and both stated that they did not know where she was, but again, none of them reported the little girl missing. And so here we have the mother of the missing North Carolina 11-year-old tells police that she did not report her disappearance for almost 3 weeks because she feared how her husband, the girl's stepfather, would react to the news. Madalina Cojocari was last seen on November 21st, leaving a school bus and vanished on November 23rd. That's what her mother, Diana Cojocari, said. And she was seen, this is the last known whereabouts, when she is getting off this bus after school. You can see her messing with her hair. This is friggin' heartbreaking to see this little 11-year-old girl, and now she is a missing person. And on the day of her disappearance, Cojocari, 37-year-old Cojocari, she argued with her husband, Christopher Palmiter, who is 23 years older than her, and Palmiter drove in anger that evening to Michigan. 3 days later, on November 26, Palmiter returned home to North Carolina, and Cojocari told him that the young girl was missing from the house in Cornelius, a town just north of Charlotte. And now no one knows where they're at because none of them reported the little girl's disappearance until nearly 3 weeks later. And you know why they reported her missing? Because the school got involved. Great job to the school. And so police are investigating the case that has been noted that the kitchen in the family home had an area blocked off with plywood. Palmiter said that he had been building a separate apartment, which does not look to be true. And Palmiter, as I said, he told police that he last saw her a week before she disappeared. And what we don't know is why she disappeared. So both Cojocari and Palmiter, they were both arrested and charged with failure to report a missing child. That is all they have been arrested for at this time, as this is still a developing story. But the FBI are now leading a search, and a spokesman said there's nothing we won't do to find her. That's right, keep going. And he says, as part of the normal investigation process, we're expanding our search area outside of the home where Madalina was last seen, and that now includes Lake Cornelius. Court officials said during her first court appearance on Tuesday that Cojocari had hindered the investigation so far. They said she only begrudgingly reported her daughter's disappearance to the police. Despite a number of calls from her school in the following weeks, no one was notified that Madalina was missing. And on December 12th, this is when things would start getting a little interesting because a school resource officer at Bailey Middle School went to the Cojocari home with a counselor. There was no answer at the door at that time, as I shared, so they left a truancy package, because if you're a child, you should be in school. Otherwise, you are a truant and you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. And that's when school officials normally will get involved. And so on December 14th, Cojocari calls the school counselor and told her that she would bring Madalina into school the next day. At the meeting, Cojocari told the resource officer that Madalina had in fact missing for weeks and was last seen entering her room to go to bed at around 10 p.m. on November 23rd. Cojocari also told the school officials that she and her husband argued that night, which caused him to drive to his family home in Michigan to collect his belongings. It was at 11:30 a.m. on November 24th that Cojocari says went to check on Madalina to find that she was no longer in her bedroom. So when Palmiter returned at 7 p.m. on November 26, Cojocari told police she asked if he knew where Madalina was, and he told her he did not. And as I shared, he says the same thing to her, and boom. After their arrest on December 17th, the two were being held at the Mecklenburg County Detention Center. And, you know, they're living in this really big house, which was valued on Zillow at almost $500,000, 2,500 square foot home. And so, why is this happening? We don't know. Police carried out a thorough search of their home, and they were seen digging up the front yard with shovels, but it is not clear whether they found anything of interest. Her stepfather, Palmiter, who works as a mechanical designer at a machinery factory, he is being held on a $100,000 bond. And Diana Cojocari's bond was set at $250,000, and a condition was set that if she does make bond, she will be placed under electronic monitoring. Madalina is 4 feet 10 inches, has dark brown hair, and weighs about 90 pounds. She was last seen wearing jeans, pink, purple, and white Adidas shoes, and a white t-shirt and jacket. Anyone with information has been asked to call the Cornelius Police Department at 704-892-7773. That's 704-892-7773. You are highly encouraged to please share this. Now, where does this begrudgingly reported her missing come from? So, new information that has been obtained by Queen City News regarding the 11-year-old Madalina Cojocari shares that the stepfather, as I shared, drove to Michigan the night of her disappearance following a dispute between him and the girl's mother. And so that's where we find out that, there is a little better of a timeline on this, where I will share with you on this, because she changes her story a little bit on that. And so the warrant, it gave a clear timeline of the events, which is what I read at the beginning of this show. On Wednesday, November 23rd, an argument occurs between Madalina's mother, Diana, and stepfather, Christopher. During the argument, Madalina went into her room to go to bed around 10 p.m. Palmiter then decided to drive to Michigan, where he has family, and it is alleged to pick up items. Around 11:30 a.m. the following day, Cojocari went into Madalina's room to check on her, and Madalina was gone. So he allegedly, she's thinking maybe she's with the stepfather. What did he do with her? But again, not reported missing. Palmiter was told about Madalina's disappearance 3 days later. That's what records show. And Cojocari said she waited 3 weeks to report her disappearance because she was worried it would affect her relationship with her husband. And that is that's kind of mind-blowing in some ways, right? Even neighbors that spoke out, they described the couple as nice but quiet, and say they would see Madalina each day getting off the school bus and coming home from school. Now, Charlotte FBI and North Carolina State Bureau of Investigators are involved in this investigation, and so they're soon going to be going door to door at homes in the Cojocari neighborhood, and they're set to hold a vigil for the little girl. But where did the stepdad do something? Was the 11-year-old Madalina Cojocari with the stepdad when he drove to Michigan? I mean, I highly doubt it, but right now you got to play all episodes, right? And so, because the parents are now being detained, and they were detained as of just a few days ago, Saturday, December 17th, for neglecting to report the girl as missing. You see, though they were both arrested, people are all over this, right? News Nation revealed that Palmiter drove to Michigan a day after the disappearance. Now, a Twitter user claimed that the 11-year-old may have been with him at that time. You never know, right? Was he with her? What was the little girl with her? Or does the mom know more? Because the mom says, I didn't want to upset him. Why? That makes me believe that maybe she did something to him. Because really, who drives 12 plus hours to get some items during Thanksgiving Day? I mean, that doesn't even make sense, right? What's Diana's alibi? Because something's not adding up. The school admins had attempted to contact Diana several times regarding the child's absence. They were requesting a meeting, and then they were threatening truancy, right? And then that's when she finally calls back. But we don't really know more, because the last time she was seen was getting off this bus. And so authorities released this footage of what they identified as the last confirmed sighting of the little girl. And she was seen getting off the bus at her stop on November 21st at 4:59 p.m. That's according to the Cornelius Police Department. The police says this is the last time we have independent confirmation of when she was last seen. This is according to court documents. This was the last day that she went to school. Now, cops previously said she was last seen on the evening of November 23rd. That information, according to police, came from her mother, Madalina Cojocari, and stepfather, Christopher Palmiter. Now, as previously reported, they were arrested, again, only for failing to report the 11-year-old missing. And so now we have to wait. Will they both talk? They're going to be investigating this left and right. We pray that someone speaks up. If it's the least that this mom could do before she spends the rest of her life in prison, speak to what's going on. Because they were at this home, they were really digging into the bedroom. So because that's where they say the last I saw her, she went into her bedroom. So you can see law enforcement, the detectives going in, you can see the detectives coming out, and you can even see them carrying a blue bin. That's kind of scary. Not that I believe that there's anything in there of that should be scary, but what's in there? Did they take it in there and fill it up with stuff, with evidence, or did they pull it out because that showed signs of something? This is an ongoing investigation. So we don't know more than that at this very time, right? So because Diana, she arrives back at the school and she doesn't have Madalina with her. So someone's lying. They most likely are both lying because the reason of not reporting her missing does not add up. And you can see, I believe this is the girl's bedroom because a lot of pictures were being taken in there as I was watching a video. A lot of bulb flashing, like photography, with the lights on, taking a lot of pictures. So literally, you can tell they were taking a lot of pictures. Now, this is the home in Michigan where the stepfather used to live. And at one time he lived there. He's got family that is still living there. And he was reportedly going over there to pick up some stuff. But we don't really know outside of that. The FBI is said to be working with the family in Michigan to try to get some answers. Thank you. I hope someone, even on his side of the family, cares about this little girl. Even if they did not know her very well, a little girl is missing. The mother and stepfather, mother and or stepfather knows something. Even though I should be saying allegedly, I promise you, they know something. At the minimum, the mom knows something. And so the search for Madalina, to give you a quick recap on the timeline, November 21st, the last day Madalina attended school. On November 22nd, the mother says that it's the last day she saw Madalina, which is a day after the last day. So November 22nd, she's saying that this is the last day that I saw her, which was a day after the school surveillance. I'm thinking that there's got to be more surveillance out there if she ever left that house. On November 23rd, the mother changes her story and says that this is actually the last day she saw Madalina. She also says that the stepfather left for Michigan that day, November 23rd. kind of trying to put the blame on him. Wait a second, when he left for Michigan, that's the last time I saw my daughter. On November 24th, the mother claims stepfather left for Michigan on the 24th. And so let me correct myself. I knew I would mess that up. Sorry. The stepfather says he left for Michigan on the 23rd. The mother is saying, nope, he left on the 24th. So contradicting each other right there. Sorry about that little mess up. On November 26th, the stepfather says he returned from Michigan and he asks Diana about Madalina. And then on December 12th, that's when the school officials went over to the home and knocked on the door. No one answered, and they left the truancy package. And then on December 15th, the mother tells the school, here I am. I don't have Madalina. Madalina's actually been missing. My friends, that is what we know in the story of the missing little girl, Madalina. Where is this little girl? We need justice for this little girl. This is reminding me of Quentin Simon. This is reminding me of other different cases where the child doesn't just disappear. An 11-year-old doesn't disappear and the family doesn't report them missing. That does not happen. That is what tells me this family knows more. I don't care. This family knows more. My friends, if you know anything, please, please, please share it. Please pray for the return of this girl. Please pray for justice for Madalina. Madalina deserves justice because something has gone wrong here. We don't know what. We don't know how. We don't know why. Unless it's true, I didn't want to upset the husband. That to me is what makes me think she knows more. Did he take her with him to Michigan and do something? If he did, she knows more anyway. So right now, all signs are pointing to Diana. You know something, say something. My friends, I'm Manny Rodriguez. Thank you for joining me today. I look forward to being a voice for the victims. I look forward to being a voice for you so you can know what could go wrong in this crazy world we live in. Thank you to the school for following up on this missing girl. Sounds just like the Lori Vallow case, right? The school's like, where is this kid? They're new to the area. All of a sudden, they're not even coming to school. We want to know what's going on. So, my friends, at the end of the day, this stuff shouldn't happen. Please be careful out there. Please speak up, speak out to end child abuse. I'm Manny Rodriguez. My friends, if this is the type of content you like to follow, hit that subscribe button. Click on that like if you got some value from this and hit that notification bell. That way you get notified whenever I go live or I upload content. Thank you for joining me today. I look forward to serving you again.